I'm willing to say he's the basement coach of the year.
They're going to get something rolling.
Welcome to the Sports Saga podcast presented by Dias Electrc. Hi, everyone, again, and thanks so much for joining us. Brady Kudo here today with a guest, someone who's helped me a lot over the last few weeks in my new endeavor at the Action Track of the East. The race voice, Kevin Boucher, is with us. 27 years of the business, still going strong. Kevin, thank you so much for taking the time. How's it going?
Good. I appreciate you having me on.
Of course. Could not have you on at some point. So 27 years ago, you started your announcing career, but you've really been at a racetrack your whole life. So why don't you take us through what got you into racing and later announcing?
I grew up in the sport. My father was a car owner for years, so I was always around race cars. And as I grew, I did various jobs at the track. I sold programs. I worked on the wrecker. I worked in the novelty booth. And, I was just sitting there one day. I was talking to then promoter Adrian Vendetti, who was Anthony's son, the founder of the Speedway. And we were just talking about racing, about life. And it never even dawned on me to want to get into any type of announcing, but it just hit me at that particular moment. And I threw it out at her. And here we are 27 years later.
So what do you think now? You're in it. You're going to be calling one of the biggest short track races in the country in Oxford, Maine in a few weeks. So what do you think maybe, well, number one, have you done any type of event that big? And two,
not that big.
Not that big?
I've done some events with various touring divisions. I've done the Wheeler Modified Tour. I've done a bunch of Granite State Pro Stock races over the years. I've done some past races over the years, but this is it's something new. It's something bigger. I'm really looking forward to it. It's one of those people have bucket list items, and since I've been announcing, this has been a bucket list item for me.
That's another one off the bucket list. Now, what do you, with all this, right? You've done the Wheel and Modified. You've done some past events. You've even done, when the monster trucks have come to town over the past couple of years, you've done those. What do you think is the biggest takeaway from this, and what do you enjoy most about it?
The people is what I enjoy most. The competitors, the fans. Over the years, I've been able to really get close to a lot of the competitors, just being around them. I can remember probably my third or fourth year announcing, I was working at Stafford Speedway and walking through the pits, just getting to know the competitors, because that was new to me at the time. And I remember seeing Ben Dodge sitting atop a hauler talking to one of the competitors, just like they were old friends, which they were. And I remember looking at that and saying, geez, you know what? I'd like someday to be able to have that type of relationship with the competitors I work with on a weekly basis. And I've been able to do that. So, that's a big part. Walking through the stands and talking to the fans that you see every week, but, the whole thing becomes like family. So the most important part to me is the people that you meet over the course of the years, and you become friendly with them.
Now, your routine, get there, you eat your pizza and your Mountain Dew, no ice, right? And you're constantly going through, stands and pits, whatever. And I'd say, if somebody asked me, hey, who is Kevin Boucher? I think I describe them as I'm not judging what you look like, but hey, what does he look? How can I catch him? I'd say two words. I'd say cowboy hat. Give me the origin of why you started wearing that ever so famous black cowboy hat. Why does it signal like Kevin Boucher cowboy hat? What made you start wearing it?
It was something different. When I first started announcing, it was, I'd wear a different hat, type of hat every week. 1 week it was a fedora, 1 week it was a baseball cap, another week. And I did a lot. Back then I was fitter. So I was doing country western dancing. And I'd always wear my cowboy hat when I went there. And I wore it one night and I said, you know what? I kind of like this. And they've been wearing it ever since.
It is a good look. I will say that's Immediately. Who's Kevin Boucher? Cowboy head. Ah, all right. Got it. So again, 27 years. Did you ever like so you never really saw yourself doing this? Did you have like it just dawned upon you? You were never like, I'm just gonna ask the Vendettis to do this. You were just
No, just popped into my head one day when I was talking to her, and sometimes I found out a lot of things that happen in life are due to two things: who you know and timing. And the timing just happened to be perfect, and who it's you're talking to the person that does the hiring. So it just happened. I hit it at the right time.
now you were came after one of the more notable people to come out of Seacon Speedway and Alan Bestwick. But one of the more notable alums you've worked under, you've not worked under, you've worked with, Joel Sebastianelli, who's now down in Florida. He's doing some sports anchoring, whatever. So take a guy like Joel. What's it been like seeing him grow? And what's it been like working with, different people like me and Sam over the years? Like how is it um like bouncing off and adjusting to new partners quite often?
It can be difficult at times, but when the person I'm working with shows the intuition, the want to do it, the desire to do the things they need to do to become better at that, um, is satisfying. I'd like to think that I had a little something to do with it, just showing them some of the basic tools that excuse me, at the track. It's all about learning the competitors, learning who they are, getting a little background on them, and being able to present that to other people. And it's a conversationalist style that you need to have to become successful. If you're one of those people that are talking at the camera, talking at the mic with the information, it's a lot different than talking with the people. Even though it's a one-way conversation, you want them to feel involved. And whenever you go to a sporting event, whether it's the Patriots, whether it's the Red Sox, whether it's a small local team or a short track or whatever it is, you want the PA announcer to educate you a little bit, but also keep it enjoyable, where they're not feeling that, boy, this guy is just mundane. He's not really giving me any information. And it's also about, with short track racing, it's a lot different than the other sports. When you go to a sporting event, whether it's soccer, football, baseball, hockey, you don't hear the PA announcer. All you hear are little bits of when something happens, first downs, um, home run or whatever. You don't really hear the PA announcer. It's more the radio announcer style that we have at the track, that we're constantly on the mic from A to Z. So when you hear those radio announcers talking to the fans, describing what they're seeing, that's what we bring to the table. And that's being able to educate young people like yourself, like Joel, like Sam, and seeing you grasp that and bring that forward. It's satisfying, because I know I've had a little something to do with it to educate you. I give you the direction, and you guys take those tools and grow with them.
Now you touched upon short track racing and how it's different. So why say it's Saturday night and I want to take whoever out to a sporting event? I've got my options. Let's say it's October, closer, maybe more basketball season. I've got here are my options: the Haunted 100. I don't know, a Providence Bruins game or a Providence Friars basketball game. Out of those three options, why should I pick the Haunted 100? Why should I pick short track racing? What makes it exciting?
Well, you picked on hockey and basketball, and I'll use those two sports as an example. Those are quick bursts of action for 12 or 15 minutes, or 20 minutes in hockey. Then you get a break for 20 minutes. Or I think basketball is 5 minutes in between periods. I'm not sure. And then another period, and it's the same thing. And then you get another period. It's the same thing. The excitement is there when you're in the stand. It's more of a matter of taste. Racing isn't for everybody. Not everybody enjoys it. But I think if everybody gave it a shot, came down to the track, what you're going to see, and I'll use the Haunted 100 for an example, you're going to see three different divisions of racing, three different classes, three different styles of cars. And what they're going to do is create excitement for the entire period. Yes, there are cautions which slow things up, but that's where the PA announcer comes in and starts talking. I've been to the Providence Bruins, and you hear a couple of ads in between periods, a little bit of talking, and then about 15 minutes of the music playing from the broadcast room. With racing, it's nonstop from A to Z, from the drop of the first green flag to the drop of the checkered flag. It is constant. You're on as far as a broadcaster is concerned. As a fan, you're sitting there. I can understand how some people say, well, it's just cars going in circle, and it is. But there are a lot of different variables to that as a broadcaster, I've got to educate the fans on why it's not just going around in circles, how the competition is, how the strategy is, and what can be in the mindset of a driver at any particular time.
Now, you've never driven, but what was maybe your dad's, like learning under your father? What was his point of view from the car owner, and how have you taken that knowledge, past knowledge, and translated it into a broadcast?
His theory was get away from the race car.
Yeah.
And I don't mean that in a bad way. He had a good bunch of guys around, and I really was more in the way than trying to learn. I was always a fan of the sport, but I never really thought about getting into the sport. I was never, of course I wanted to drive, but I never looked at it going, I want to learn how to work on a race car. I want to learn how to do the setups. I want to learn how to do the engines or the tires or any of the intricate things that really go into putting a race car together. It was never a desire for me. So I was never around the racing to the point where I was involved. It was more from a step, I was in the way because I wasn't trying to learn. If I was trying to learn, that would probably be a different story, but I wasn't. So it was more of a learning the whole sport itself at the same time instead of just focusing on that particular part of it. But again, it goes back to the friendships you make along the way, and you can use those friendships and grab a little piece of knowledge here and there because they're a lot better at what they do than I could ever do. So it's being able to translate that and educate the fans.
So you were more like, let me just, and I don't blame you, sit back, let me enjoy it. And then if the opportunity ever comes along for me to work, talk about it, then you do it.
Well, it was never a desire to do what I'm doing.
Yeah.
It was never a thought to get into it. It just, I was there and it just happened to be. I always wanted to be involved somehow. And I've helped people on teams a little bit over the course of my years before I get into announcing. But it was never it was just something to do. It was never something I wanted to learn. So it's something I just fell into. It's, a fan that got to talk about it.
There you go. And I think that's why, like you've said, it's the easiest job of the track.
I show up, I talk, I go home.
Yeah.
Is basically what I do. And it's not that simple, but it is that simple. Because of the relationships that I've had over the years, you talk to somebody today, doesn't mean I'm going to use that part of the story today. I may use that 2, 3, 4 weeks from now, but it's being able to have those conversations with people and bring it to the fans, and they learn something new. And the guy you talk to goes, yep, I told him that. I can't believe you remembered that crap.
Now we've said in many conversations before, and I'll go to this one. I'll have another question and then we'll wrap it up. There is one job at the racetrack that you will never do.
Scoring.
What is it and why?
Scoring. It is the hardest job there is. And this is more before we had electronic timing and scoring. Now everything is done by transponders, where when you cross the start finish line, there's a receiver on the car that trips a signal to a wire going across underneath the track that tells you where the car is located, gives you speed, position. It's absolutely a tremendous piece. Scoring the old school way is the toughest job in racing. And the reason for that is, think of 24 cars out on a racetrack, okay? And you've got to score those cars as they cross the start finish line to keep them in the right position. So the easiest test to try it is write on a piece of paper the numbers 1 to 24 as fast as you can and in as straight of a line as you can, and time yourself. And it'll probably take you about 15 seconds the first time you do it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Now try it again, but jumble up those numbers. But not only numbers 1 to 24, you're doing 1 to 100, or actually 0 to 99, and try to do those. Yes, it's easier when you see the cars crossing the line, but it's still very difficult to do. And then do that how many laps in a row?
Right.
It's such a difficult task that it really takes somebody who is very well disciplined to be able to do that. And I don't have that type of focus. Maybe it's a little ADD, maybe it's a little apathy. I don't know, but it's, you know what? I never wanted that job. I never want to do it. I've done a lot of things around the racetrack. That's one job I won't try.
And even, you have your 0 to 99. You've got, like, use an example in some of our divisions. Number 4 CT, number 99,
Yep.
number 99 RI. So it's like,
Yeah.
no, I don't blame you. Now, again, I'm going to touch upon the 27 years because that is a very long time to consistently be good at something. Do you have one, just take us on a high note, one memory, one story that you just look back and you laugh about it and you'll go, yeah, I'll never forget this?
There are a lot of stories from behind. It's more from the racing itself. And you don't remember a lot of moments. Being an announcer, it's very rare because I've got 2 boys who are in the sport and they'll grill me all night long and all week long. Do you remember this? Do you remember that? And it's like, no, I don't. No, I don't. But the feeling you get is when you see really good racing and you can fire the crowd up because of that racing. I've seen great racing and bad announcers, and it's, yeah, okay. But when you get an announcer who is into it, who gets excited about it and really pushes that, it helps. And we had a late model race 5 years ago, and you've seen our late model races, and they're fantastic.
Oh, yeah.
We watched a race for the lead, 4 drivers, 3 wide, even 4 wide at one point, all coming down to try to win that race. That's probably one of the most exciting races that I can remember. This past Friday night, with everything going on, we had a rainstorm, pushed everything behind, and the kids were fantastic. They came out, they wanted to be a part of it. They wanted to push the water out of the way, and it was fantastic to see, and it really helped. I was talking to Mike Vaness during that, and I said, this reminds me of a rain delay we had, and I mentioned this during the course of the night.
Yes.
One of the DAV weekends, probably about 15 years ago, it rained all day Saturday. And I mean, it would rain, it would stop, you dry the track, it would rain, it would dry. I mean, we were running qualifying at 10 o'clock at night so we could get Sunday in. And during those rain delays, as you're walking through and seeing the people in the pit area just enjoying it, even though it's miserable out, it's raining all day, they were enjoying it, having fun. We had creeper races in the pit area. Just little odd things like that is what the memories that make this, the friendships along the way. And I'll tell you what, I am so fortunate to be able to do what I do, where I do it, because we've got such a great bunch of drivers. The crews are fantastic, the families, the fans. Everything from A to Z really brings it along, and I'm very fortunate to be a part of it.
Absolutely. And I've said the best part, it's not that, I go to watch races for free every week. It is the people I meet. It's, working with you. It's talking to whoever. That's if and whenever, I depart from the action track of the East, which that will be for a little while. That'll be my biggest takeaway by far is definitely the people and just the experience of it all. And I know you're going to say the same thing 1,000 times over.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah,
I wouldn't do what I do if it wasn't for the people that I've met over the course of the years, because that makes me want to do it. The racing is secondary to the relationships that you build over the years. And because of those relationships, because of the people I get to talk to, the fans that I get to talk to, that's why I keep doing it, because that's what makes it fun.
perfectly said. And so that'll wrap it up. Seekonk Speedway. Well, if you haven't been there, get there. Every Friday night racing, our Fast Friday racing, we've got our youth divisions, we've got, pure stocks, we've got our Sport 4 divisions, really exciting stuff. And then Saturday nights, we've got our NASCAR Advanced Auto Parts Weekly Series. We've got our pro stocks. Dave Darling just won the Triple Crown. Can he make it 9 titles? Well, only time will tell, and you're going to know if you get down there. September 3rd is our Labor Day throw show, Kevin's favorite time of year. Spectator drags, the enduro drags, the figure eights. August 24th, we got a lot. What is that? The Boston Louis.
Yep, biggest midget race on the East Coast, the Boston Louis Memorial.
The NEMA Modifieds, that's all Wednesday night. That's also on Flow Racing if you can't get down there. But just follow the Seekonk Speedway socials if you don't. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, whatever. We have a little partnership to announce. Smack Apparel. If you heard of them, great. If not, I'm going to tell you about them. Smack Apparel. It's think of like Fanatics, but kind of better. Where you know what, not custom, but more sports merchandising. Maybe geared towards the diehard fan. So if you use the code SAGA at checkout, you're gonna get 10% off. So if you consider buying a sports shirt, I know we got some holidays coming up. People like to get their Christmas shopping done early. If you got a birthday coming up and you've got a diehard Sox fan in the house, you know what? Go to Smack Apparel and use that code SAGA for 10% off at checkout. If you haven't already, leave us drop us a like, subscribe to us, follow us on the socials. Everything you need. Click that show more button in the description. Wherever you want to get to us. Give Kevin a follow. On friend him on Facebook, give him a follow on Twitter. You got to get more active on Twitter. We'll get it done. Okay.
I ain't got time for that. I'm old school. Okay. I'm waiting for MySpace to come back.
Bring back MySpace. Yeah. Start that change.org petition for Kevin Boucher. Brady Kudo saying thank you so much for joining us, and come join us every Friday night at the Action Track of the East. We'll see you next time.